I could get everyone to make their way to their seats, put their cell phones on silent, and we have a great program today. I'll start by saying that this is the 4th or 5th annual Entrepreneur of the Year Symposium, and this is by far the largest crowd that we've had. And so I think that speaks a lot to not only the growing interest in entrepreneurship in Acadiana, but also to the important role that our two honorees here today are playing in their respective communities. And we look forward to sharing their stories with you here today. My name is Cherry Fisher May, along with my husband Steve. We're the publishers of ABIZ Magazine and the other publications and entities that make up End Events, both online as well as the many events that we produce, including this one here today. We have a great staff at ABIZ. I want to start by asking them to stand, and I want to particularly, as I was pulling this program together today, and there'll be a video introduction that gives you some background on our honorees in a few minutes, but I realized how much more interesting and rich and what a better job we can do of telling the story of George Marks and Mike Murray, because I had such great photography to work with to pass on to Vidox, who pulled it all together in video form. So I do want the whole staff to stand, but Robin, where's Robin May? Right back there. Her photos are awesome, y'all, and I just want to... And just coincident, she is my sister-in-law, but she's also a great photographer. But coincidentally, on theend.com right now, she pulled together her top photos of 2016, and it's a really awesome collection. So don't blush too hard, Robin. But I encourage you to go to theend.com and look at Robin's photos. But would the rest of the ABIZ and End Media staff stand up, please? I just want to say thank y'all for working so hard. And of course, Judy Wade is with us too, Wade Events. She helps us with a lot of our event production too. But we've got a lot of great things to announce for 2017, and I can't wait to get it started, but we're not going to do that today. Today, I want to start by welcoming and saying thank you to also our sponsors, the Opportunity Machine, or the OM, Zach Barker and his table, they're right here, and we want to thank them for the role that they play in developing this event. Also, the One Acadiana group is here, right here. Thank y'all. Jason's walking in. And as I mentioned earlier, they are our digital storytelling partner, and they do a lot of great work for us for this event and others. So please, a round of applause for our sponsors today. So here's how the program's going to work. We'll have an invocation, a pledge of allegiance, a few other announcements, then we'll serve lunch. Then at about 12:25, we will roll a 5 to 7 minute video that gives you the background on the event itself, the awards, and the two honorees. Then they'll come to the stage along with Zach Barker, who's going to be our moderator, and we'll just have a conversation. So you're going to be one-on-one with two of the top entrepreneurs in our community today, vicariously through Zach Barker. Then afterwards, they'll actually get their awards and say a few remarks, and then we can mix and mingle again afterwards and celebrate their success. So delivering the invocation today is a friend of the Murray family and also the pastor for the Ascension Schools, where Gus Murray, Mike's son, attends school. So Father Brant Montgomery will offer the invocation, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand as you are able.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you thanks for this lovely day that you have blessed us to gather together. And Lord, we ask a special blessing upon the two honorees who will be speaking to this crowd this morning, and we thank you for their service to the community. And Lord, we ask that you will continue to use them to be good examples of what it means to give back in service to our communities, and that in serving you, they serve others and display that love for you and neighbor. And Lord, we ask that you bless this food that we today eat to the nourishment of our bodies and ourselves to your service. Keep us always mindful that there are others who are more in need. And as we are able, may we give to them as well. In your name we give you thanks, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before you visit among yourselves. The entries are now being collected for the 2017 InDesign Awards. Those are our annual awards for excellence in architecture and interior design in both the residential category and the commercial category. The deadline is January 27th at 5 p.m. and the entries are starting to come in. So if your business has done something in the past year that has contributed to the built community in Lafayette and the entire One Acadiana footprint, we invite you to enter. The awards will be presented on April 6th at the City Club of Lafayette. And a new event is the State of the Lafayette Parish School System. That's on Monday, March the 6th, the Monday after Mardi Gras. That's when we'll be bringing in for the first time representatives of excellence of things that are going on in the Lafayette Public Schools. For the full slate of events, check thein.com. Please enjoy your lunch, and thanks again for coming. We just have a few more tables to serve, so if I could direct everyone's attention to the two monitors. Shh. And just before I cue the video, I just want to explain. A couple of people have asked me exactly how the honorees or what the process is. And so several months ago, we began making an announcement that we were collecting honorees for this year's story that appeared in the December issue of ABIZ, and I think we do have a few copies out front of that issue that features the stories about Mark and about George and Mike. And but we solicit on suggested honorees from past honorees, from our friends at One Acadiana, at the Lafayette Economic Development Association, and other surrounding economic development groups, and also from readers online and in print. And so we have a committee that drills down through the honorees and selects them based on the contributions that they make, not only to their business, but to the communities where they live. And there'll be a little bit more about that in the video. But Anthony, if you'd roll the video, we'll get the program started.
Welcome again to the 4th Annual ABIZ Entrepreneur of the Year Symposium, a unique opportunity for Acadiana's business community to get one-on-one with some of the region's most successful and inspirational entrepreneurs. The symposium is unique among the programs we produce. It's a panel discussion recorded for broadcast on Acadiana Open Channel on the End Media YouTube channel and is archived at the V.I. Moody School of Business at UL. Today's sponsors include the Opportunity Machine, better known as the OM, founded in 2009 to help budding entrepreneurs focus their efforts on what matters most to generate the greatest results in the least amount of time. Clients include rapid growth startups who benefit from the combination of applied coursework, mentorship, peer relationships, and infrastructural support provided by the OM. And One Acadiana, a privately funded economic development organization servicing a 9-parish region, whose mission is to make Acadiana one of the most sought-after places in the South for emerging business and professional talent. Check the oneacadiana.org website for important upcoming events, including the annual Building the Region Conference in January, the Regional Celebration Gala in February, and Leadership Exchange in April. Our digital media partner is Vidox Motion Imagery, visual craftsmen with over 30 years experience in the production of award-winning, crowd-pleasing media content. From commercials and infomercials to marketing and training videos, documentaries, medical animation, and more. Vidox tells stories with pictures and sound that will make things happen for your business. This year, we honor the elusive Mike Mare as Entrepreneur of the Year. Mike learned at the knee of his father, Louis, who had a distinguished career as the president of Morgan City Bank beginning in the 1960s. Mike, too, started his career in banking after graduating from what is now UL Lafayette, where he also ran track. Soon after, Mike was named one of the youngest bank presidents in the country, taking the helm at Acadiana Bank in Eunice in 1972. Within a few years, he developed a keen eye for spotting distressed oil field service companies that were turnaround opportunities, and he left banking to do just that. He divested himself of the last one of those investments in 2015, selling Timco Services to Franks International in a $95 million deal. A restless serial investor, Mike also became a successful developer of commercial real estate along the way. Through the years, his holdings have included retail properties, office complexes, and perhaps the best known locally, Le Triomphe, which is still in his portfolio, with some new elements soon to be announced. Eventually, Mike was persuaded to return to banking and joined the board of Home Bank in Lafayette in 2006. He served as chairman with a steady hand when the bank went public in 2008. Even during that very volatile time in the industry, Home Bank sold $90 million in stock in the IPO. It has grown through acquisitions in Louisiana and Mississippi to over $1.5 billion in assets today. Through it all, Mike has earned the reputation as a nice guy with the utmost integrity in business, putting together deals where everybody wins. He credits his people for his success and his family for providing the foundation for a career that isn't nearly over yet. In fact, his 100-year-old mother is with us today. And if that's any indication, there's much more to come. His most recent business travels have taken him from North Carolina to Michigan to Houston and Santa Fe. At the age of 69, Mike Maray's story is still in development, both literally and figuratively. Congratulations. In 2015, we added a second award to the Entrepreneur of the Year Symposium in tribute to Jillian Johnson, a true leader in Lafayette's creative economy. Jillian, one of the victims in the Grand Theater shooting in 2015, was an artist, a musician, a successful businesswoman, and a placemaker who had a tremendous impact on downtown Lafayette and the surrounding neighborhoods. It is with that legacy in mind that we recognize George Marks as this year's honoree for the award that carries her name. 12 years ago, George was called home to Arnaville. Like most others of his generation in small-town America, he had long ago left for adventure and opportunity in a bigger place. And like many, he came back to care for his aging mother upon the death of his father, whose name was Nunu Marks. George quickly realized that his former hometown was in serious decline. Now a successful full-time artist, he contemplated life in a dying town. With several empty commercial buildings as options, George eventually moved into an old Western auto store and with a small coterie began hosting art openings and music events, bringing life to the town event by event. Other artists came too, but not everyone in Arnaville was ready for change. A dynamic captured in a cover story in The Independent in April of 2006. The fledgling artist community decided to slow the pace a bit to allow a more organic progression. Then came Hurricane Katrina. Displaced artists from New Orleans discovered affordable studio space there. Grants flowed in. Programming was robust, and artists were selling their work. The old Western Auto was bustling. But in the wee hours one Sunday morning in the summer of 2010, after a typical night of food, music, and art exhibits, the building caught fire and burned to the ground. Uninsured artists lost everything. Coincidentally, the next day, representatives from the State Office of Cultural Development were set to visit to discuss expanding the Arnaville model of small-town revival. Soon, a plan was laid to use the arts and French culture to stimulate development, both economic and social. Arnaville is now held up as an example of how such towns can successfully revitalize themselves using these creative tools. George calls it sculpting a community. Today, Nunu Arts and Culture Collective is host to community events, festivals, quilting bees, yoga, art shows, and French-centered programs on cooking and other crafts. At least one member reports a take of almost $10,000 on an average weekend. There is recent progress toward a French immersion school, which will repurpose the local abandoned hospital where George himself was born. It's an ambitious component to his hometown's burgeoning renaissance. And it all started when an artist came home. For the next half hour, we'll hear from our two honorees in a panel discussion, moderated by Zachary Barker, Executive Director of the Opportunity Machine. Congratulations to our ABIZ Entrepreneurs of the Year, Mike Marais and George Marks. Please welcome them and Zach to the stage.
So it'll take just a minute for George and Zach and Mike to get mic'd up. There's a stairs over there.
Good. Yeah. Okay, what do we do here? Put it where?
Can y'all hear us? Is that good? All right. Well, I want to, while they're getting set up, I laughed a second ago when Cherry said y'all get to vicariously live through me. You vicariously had about 9 cups of coffee today, so try to keep your leg padding to a minimum. But if y'all need to use the restroom, feel free to step out. We'll try to have as much fun up here as we can. What's up, man? We'll leave the Q&A until afterwards as well. How about that?
Okay.
Sound good?
Whatever.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. First off, thank you everyone for being here. This is extremely exciting. This event keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think one of the biggest challenges for people initially is that we're not sure who is an entrepreneur. You know, we think that entrepreneurism is high risk, high reward, that you have to be out there with your entire life on the line in order to get it. And I think if you support entrepreneurs, if you're part of that system from our financial institutions to insurance to legal, you know, a lot of us are involved in the entrepreneurial process, and so supporting these individuals, I think, is extremely important. I think, moreover, it's interesting because I think this entire community really was founded on entrepreneurism. You know, those initial people who came here looking to dig oil wells and find a better way were really founded on that. And so while we see these big companies, all those big companies started with one person who had one dream. So very interesting. So I want to give you guys a second to introduce yourselves. If you want to give any information beyond what was up there, but more from the horse's mouth, or maybe just tell us a little bit of interesting background about yourself, and then we'll dive into the questions.
No, I think y'all did a wonderful job on the little piece you had, and I'd be a lot briefer, and I think you covered it pretty good.
All right. I like how the title was the elusive. Elusive is not something I've had a problem with as of yet. So, George, how about you? Anything you want to add?
Actually, you made me sound really good. So there's not much more I want to add. So.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's do this then. Let's start. I sent these guys a couple questions. We'll try to get through as many as we can, but I want to make sure that we use our time well. George, I'll start with you. Artists and cultural entrepreneurs add so much value to communities. Really, when you think about New Orleans, people don't talk about the river and the shipping industry. They talk about the music and the food and the arts and those things that add value to our lives. So as we look at arts and cultural entrepreneurism, what are the keys to activating these individuals into commercial success? You know, so often artists are starving artists and they have a hard time sustaining as a business. What have you found to be the keys to activating them to sustainability and commercial success?
Okay, so the idea of we have to support artists more in the sense that we have to provide them with more of a creative platform. I think we too often devalue or undervalue the role of the artist in society. And so what we've tried to do with New News is to provide a platform for them to, basically, we just celebrate them. We show them how to become better artists. We also look at ways to, through their techniques, produce products that they may never have thought of producing before. We have a gentleman here, Mr. Larry Bork, who's sitting right over there, who's a sculptor, and he's also a painter. And, and I need stretchers. And so now Larry's now producing stretchers for artists all over Louisiana,
Nice.
you know, into Mississippi, into Arkansas. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's like identifying what resources are available that artists can produce, and then maximizing that. The same way a business would do. So.
Sure, that's great. So, Mike, I actually think that might be an interesting kind of lend over to this question, which is if you were advising yourself, your 30 years younger self, on the keys to success as an entrepreneur, what is the advice that you would give yourself? What is the what are those keys that you would lend to yourself if you could go back and start again?
Well, that's probably a question for a much younger guy. 30 years ago, I was probably on my 5th rendition of
But what are you
businesses.
telling your son
So,
now? That'll be the key. That'll be the key.
So, actually 45 years ago, I took over a little country bank with my first opportunity to be in business and to be a manager. And that's when you really start learning, when you're the guy at the end of the line. And I guess advice then is, sometimes you just kind of get, you get a good job and a position and you start thinking you're a big deal. And you lose sight of what your real, of where you want to be, of setting goals and focusing on those goals and building people that can carry out that. And just stand, my old daddy used to tell me to used to make a little, before we had sticky notes, you had Scotch tape and we could stick a note on the mirror, though, and never lose sight of what your goals are and just how you're going to implement them and get where you wanted to go.
Sure. Do you have a system that you use or a process around that goal setting, or?
I really don't. I do. I don't know if you call it just focusing on certain things. I got a yellow tablet, and I've walked around all my life with a yellow tablet that I keep priorities on, and it's difficult with a lot of the different interests I have. Focusing on goals, because I've got banking goals, I've got real estate goals, electric company goals, chemical plant goals, golf course goals, a lot of these different interests I have. One day it's how do we get better occupancy in buildings, but figuring out a plan to do it, and it's really surrounding yourself. I've learned late in life and about the quality of people and integrity and good core values in anything you do, and having those kind of people, it makes an entrepreneur's job very easy if he can surround himself with competent people and then have trust in a group. That's key to the whole deal, in my opinion.
Sure. So if anybody here says they don't have enough time to do something, come talk to this guy. He's got 900 goals just to do today. So, and I love that it's analog. It's the old yellow legal tablet, right? Yep. That's the best way to scratch it off. It feels amazing. Yep. So from that, I think, Mike, so great investments come in a lot of shapes and forms, and what appears to be a great investment may fail, and what appears to maybe be a little more shaky will be extremely successful. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. They want the golden bullet. What are the key indicators that you look for that will help something identify itself as a great investment?
Well, I think some of the things right now that we're seeing, if you're in real estate and other things, it's real simple. You buy low and sell high. That's it. But in business, I see so many things. A company that we just sold to Frank's, Timco, had a very unique culture, and we worked on it. We brought in the training source of these gals for 3 years, came and taught, and got guys on the shop floor trying to learn a culture and learn to who we were and what we wanted to be. And that, so many things I see today, people just taking that companies that have been bought in Lafayette and all that culture just gets destroyed. So finding good people, I wouldn't want to buy a company that didn't have that culture, didn't have that in it, and that's the first thing I'd always look at is the people, and that's what makes good companies.
Awesome. Man, you couldn't have set me up better with that, not on purpose either. So George, Mike's talking about culture and community and how difficult it can be to grow that and really how that hinges and creates success for companies. So my question to you would be is, what are the biggest challenges in trying to lead this kind of like cultural entrepreneurial revolution in such a small community? You know, there's all kinds of different challenges because you have a lot of systemic things that are going on. So tell us a little bit more about the challenges you face there and how you found success in building that in a small community.
So you have to make people believe something cool is going on, right? You just do. And we do that. It's almost like creating hype. And my hype, or our hype, are a core group of volunteers who plug into every event that we host. So, so for example, I'll call and say, hey, look, Consul General's coming. I just got word. I need bodies. And all of a sudden, we have 25 to 50 people that show up. It creates that energy, it creates that hype, which ultimately turns into a synergy of sorts. That kind of thing we sell to people. People buy into that. I think they want to surround themselves with successful things or successful people.
Sure.
And that's what we do. We then take that and we sell that, not literally, but we sell that concept to outside parties. We did that with an international audience. We sold ourselves to them first, and we developed partnerships, and those partnerships grew into something much bigger, which then got national recognition, which then got statewide recognition, which then got regional recognition, and then ultimately to local recognition.
Yeah.
So that's the way we approach doing it, because there are a lot of different problems that exist that we can't change, whether it's elected officials that may be in place, whether it's, the infrastructure that's there. We knew that we had an opportunity to take that and flip it. Mm-hmm. And we did it the best way we knew how, and that was through developing partnerships, which began on an international level. So, and I think that for any small community or any and when I say community, I don't mean necessarily a municipality. I mean, you have corporate communities.
Correct.
I think it's cultural community.
Correct.
You have, it's
Correct.
really identifying what those assets are. Look, when I woke up this morning, I put together this jacket and my pants and my socks, and I went to grab my shoes. And they had paint on them. Every single pair of shoes I had paint on them. Because I'm an artist, I'm a painter. That's how I make my living. Nice shoes, right?
You just bought them this morning, huh?
Right. But I think that, but what I did was I identified my local pieces or my cultural assets or my resources locally. They may be tattered, they may be frayed, they may not be perfect, right? But this is my community right here. And then I added value by adding the shoes. People are like that. Communities are like that. Too often we wipe the slate clean, we cut down all the trees and build something, or we level all the houses in order to create something. Those places have spirit, they have soul, and that's what we do. That's what small communities or any community can do. So, and that's how we it's basically creative placemaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you foresee our communities and what you're saying, right? Social communities, corporate communities, even for people like myself who came from outside this community, right? So there's different kind of revolutions that are started along the way. And so how do you foresee our communities being able to leverage the cultural economy to grow our area and the business community?
So I think that we have to address the fear associated with positive change. There's a lot of I think folks that may disagree or obstruct what might be happening. They just don't understand the possibilities of what can be. I know with, and what we try to do is to try to bring in, again, international folks to come in, and then we cook together, we break bread together, right? I think communities as a whole, I mean, all the different communities can work together by sharing those types of resources. Lafayette is the hub city. There's no denying that. But Lafayette needs Orneville, and it needs Brobridge, and it needs Opelousas, and all these small little towns. And by developing those partnerships that go back and forth, Parish President Bill Fontenot's here, and right over there, from St. Landry Parish. And I remember him saying, he said, when rain falls, it doesn't know where it falls. And I remembered that. Orneville's a bi-parish community. St. Martin and St. Landry. When I cross over, by Utesh, onto the St. Martin side, I don't feel any different, right? And so I think the same thing, with communities throughout Acadiana. We have to start talking about those issues that exist within Acadiana that impact the whole region, and not just focus on what's happening in Orneville or what's happening in Lafayette, because it impacts all of us.
That's great. And I don't know that could be said better as well. That's a very good point. I know I'll plug, I'll do my shameless plug. Y'all can tell Greg Gotro I said it. Greg always says, businesses don't know the arbitrary lines of when you cross into, Brobridge from Lafayette or whatever the case may be. So for us, we have to look at that as opportunities for businesses to come here, for people to come here, for us to grow our existing assets and grow our external assets as well. So,
and it's also about being true to who you are, right?
Correct.
So it's about the authenticity of place. So a lot of times, I'll see communities actually marketing or promoting who and what they are, and it's a manufactured image.
Correct.
We're frayed and we're flawed, and we celebrate that. It's a good thing. That's
Correct.
what people want.
Correct. Your favorite T-shirt is never your newest T-shirt.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Gotcha. So, Mike, let me ask you this: in what areas? This really kind of ties into the same conversation. In what areas can private investors and entrepreneurs focus their efforts towards growing the Acadiana economy? Where do you see private industry and these startups and new ideas kind of bringing growth to the region as a whole?
Well, I'm really a little pessimistic about the typical Lafayette economy. The old oil field service economy is hurting right now, and I don't think it's going to get a lot better. With there are no rigs running, and price oil can go wherever it wants to go. But if you're not drilling wells in the Gulf of Mexico, Lafayette grew because the service side of the industry was Lafayette-based. The technology was developed here, and all of the guys that went to do those things had to be close to the site, and so they developed these companies and hired these people around Lafayette on land and offshore. And it's just not right now. It's not just the commodity prices. In Louisiana, we've got issues with a lot of guys don't want to come here because of legacy lawsuits and. No, I don't want to get on Meryl Streep, Mag. Let me get, no politics. Let's see, but there's certain, other than the commercial challenges, there are a lot of other challenges to the driving force of the Lafayette area was always the oil field, and it's become less and less so, and unfortunately all of the real activity right now I think in the last year and 2 or 3 months, we probably added 150 rigs, but all of them were in the Midland, Odessa, Delaware Basin, and southeastern Oklahoma, and southeastern New Mexico, and the Scoop and the Stack up in New Mexico. A lot of activity. They've got full employment there. Lafayette's a different deal. Gotten away from your question as to what can we do differently. We're going to have to do a lot of things differently in Lafayette, because I think relying on what has always been our old standby, the oil service business, is maybe on the manufacturing side, but technology, IT. I see Lafayette's always been a big retail center. Every time I pick up something about retail, everybody's on Amazon.com. So we're going to have to be creative in Lafayette. And I think some of the things culturally, that's one of the great things that we've got is how do we, using what is unique about our culture to create other deals. There were a lot of highly technical people in Lafayette. How do we get that known? Because I see some tough times.
Strong point. So I want to talk about a couple of the marquee projects that you guys have worked on, and George, I'll start with you. The French Immersion School, I know is something real close to your heart. I know we've met on multiple times, and I think every time I talk to you, you talk about that, so I know that you're very invested in that. It's been a pet project for a long time. What's your vision for the school, and do you see this becoming like a destination type business, or how do you see that? Just paint the picture for us for what the French Immersion School looks like.
Right, so before I go right into that, the way New News is set up, right, we have different groups that operate under our umbrella. We have an arts and crafts group, we have a musician group, we have an environmental group, and we have a French group. And the French group is made up primarily of one person and her volunteers. Mavis Frugier, who's here, and she's sitting right over there. Mavis, raise your hand, please.
Don't be bashful.
So the idea of the St. Luke French Immersion campus is really, it started out with an exchange, but universities actually participating in an immersion program in Orneville, and which was headed up by Mavis Frugier and Amanda LaFleur. Once we saw that the facility, there was going to be some political hurdles that we needed to overcome, Ms. Mavis and Amanda decided that they would go ahead and begin the program. As a result of that, we've had NYU, we've had the University of Eau Claire in Wisconsin, we've had Indiana State, we've had University of Southern California, all coming to Orneville, Louisiana, paying to come to Orneville, Louisiana to live for 1 week. And we used those experiences or those projects to kind of help convince our political leaders that this was actually a good thing, that this is a viable thing, this is an amazing thing that would have a huge impact on the entire region. Again, Mr. Bill Fontenot and Cheryl Castillo, who's now the head of the Louisiana Division of the Arts, who then worked for the parish president in St. Landry Parish, were instrumental in really moving that forward. The school, unlike a university or a charter school or anything like that, really is kind of like a convention center of sorts. The idea is that universities can come with their program and plug into the facility. The affordable access, so they can do their programming, built on the foundation or based on the foundation of Cajun and Creole language. That's what we have here. That's authentic to who we are. In addition to that, we foresee a weekend immersion program for locals, so that they can plug into the program, and also a French business incubator program that would be part of that as well. So the idea is that we want to create a whole ecosystem surrounding French, right? Yeah. And use the whole of Acadiana as a campus. So the students sleep there, but the classrooms are throughout Acadiana. So we're not trying to be everything, right? Yeah. We want to celebrate what each of those communities have throughout the region, what they specialize in, and that's where we send students. So as far as a destination, there's a huge opportunity for it being a destination, not just for Orneville, but the whole region.
For the whole region, absolutely.
The whole region. And hopefully we can use this as, you asked about how do we connect, communities. This is one of the ways we connect communities. Charles LaRocque is here with Codafil. That French piece is kind of, it's the thing that connects us. It can be the thing that connects us. So we just have to celebrate that.
Awesome. That's great. So, Mike,
it's a great investment, by the way.
Are you fundraising right now?
We will be shortly.
Always.
There you go. So, Mike, I realize it may not be the biggest financial investment, I don't know, but it's definitely one of the highest or most familiar, highest exposure involvements that you've had from a business standpoint is La Triomphe. And being that it's such a major investment into our community, into the region, what were the challenges for you in taking over a project like that? And then I think my question to you is, how did that even come onto your radar?
Well, that's an interesting story because I was minding my own business one day, and an old business partner, Perry Segura, called me and he said, Mike, I understand that their Japanese group that owns La Triomphe are taking bids. They're going to sell it. It was one of their motivations was Y2K. I can easily keep track of when I bought it because they wanted to close and have the money wired to Japan prior to Y2K, whatever was going to happen. So that became the time deal. So Perry said, let's you and I put a bid on it. I said, Perry, I don't have any interest in buying a golf course. I don't want anything to do with it. He said, well, would you go and do the due diligence for me? So I went and spent a day and a half there and just cranked through everything and walked out. I was a young bachelor then, and walked out and I said, listen, I don't even want to write all this down. I says, can I just come tell you what I think? It's not, I said, you got no business buying it. So he didn't bid. The original bidder actually had left $3 million on the table. They were $3 million over the second place bidder. So when they got to dealing, the Japs said, listen, just take it as it is. So they went to the number 2 guy who didn't want the excess real estate. And Glenn Richard was, the Glenn Richard Champions Realty called me and he said, Mr. Murray, I know you like to buy land, and we got the golf course sold to another guy, but he doesn't want the land. So I went back to Perry's, and his wife was cooking supper that night. We sat around, drank a few old fashions, and he said, well, Mike, and the price with the new deal was about $3 million less. He said, well, would it be a good deal there? I said, Perry, $3 million better, but I mean, it's still not a good deal. So I guess I had another couple of old fashions, and
that deal started getting better, huh?
I called the realtor the next morning. I said, listen, he was only selling the commercial land up front and some other properties. So Perry and I decided we were going to buy the whole thing. Well, he had sold the golf course to, agreed to sell it to someone else. I said, listen, we'll take the whole thing, and said, if you want to sell them, he said, man, you know the other guy's number. That's not fair. I said, well, if I have it, Perry and I'll buy it, and we'll buy the whole thing, and we'll close in proper time. So did 2 years later, after we took the course over. There were a lot of things in the golf business. You either got to be the best or the cheapest, and we weren't the best. So we had to, and 18 months into the deal, closed it for a year. Well, for 10 months, we closed the golf course, cored out every green. So it's, and then shortly after that, Perry decided he didn't have the stomach for it, and I got stuck with it. But it is. No, I have great pride in La Triomphe, and it's one of those deals. If you don't have, I keep 3 of those jobs just to keep my bills current at La Triomphe. So, because it's not a real business investment, but it's. I look at it as maybe a legacy that I'd love to have a great club and to build something there, and it doesn't happen overnight. So it's certainly been one of my greatest challenges. We've just putting a wonderful management team, and I leave it alone. I have a lady who manages the club, and I stay out of her way. So it's, and that's, I think, in talking about in business is you just, learning to delegate, and I've learned that maybe a little too late and not still enough of it, but first you have to have the trust and the right people and get out the way.
Yeah. I'm hearing eat more, drink more, and wear that old T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the 3 takeaways right here. So, We're about to wrap up. I want you guys to give us some insight for what you see. What's the thing you're most excited for in 2017 around your business or around this community? And George, I'll start with you. Kind of put you on the spot here.
Okay, so first, let me just do this real quick. So every person that's here that is a volunteer of New News or a partner of New News, can you guys stand real quick? Stand. Over here. So New is, we're all volunteers, 100%. And so these folks are what keeps us moving forward. And I just want to say that that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about and that I'm looking forward to in 2017 is that our volunteer base is increasing exponentially, not just in Acadiana, but we have volunteers coming out of Baton Rouge, we have volunteers coming out of New Orleans, we have volunteers coming out of state, and we have volunteers coming internationally. That's amazing, you know, for Orneville, in a little town. So I have to say the thing that I'm most excited about is that, I mean, I could give you a list of projects that we're working on, but it's knowing that these guys are available and willing to work with us on a daily basis. That's the big thing for me.
Awesome.
It's the people piece.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome. Mike?
Well, let's see. I would say really right now, going forward, I discussed that there were, a little bit of pessimism for the local economy because of the oil field and a few other things. But those are the times that create the great opportunities, and that we've got so many smart people in Lafayette with the university, and we've got a wonderful medical community. We've got a lot of smart people that can do things other than the oil field. So I think they're going to be. These are the times that breed those great opportunities. So hopefully that those will get taken advantage of, and maybe they'll diversify us a little more. But if I knew what they were, I might not tell you.
I hope you wouldn't, but if you want to, you got my email. I'll be happy to take that for you. So, guys, let's give these guys a big round of applause.
Thank y'all so much. I'm going to ask Zachary to do the honors to actually present the awards to each of them. I see some folks wanting to stand up. Please stand up. Give them a standing ovation.
Okay, that's it.
So Zachary, we're going to start with George's award. And as you get Robin May up here to make a photograph or two. And I do want to pass along to George some comments last night from Jason Brown. Jason is Jillian's husband, and he was not able to make it today, but he texted me last night and he said he couldn't think of anyone more deserving. And I get kind of teared up when I think about that. But anyway, congratulations.
That's awesome.
And if you'd like to say a few words, please do. Well, and now for Mike.
Congratulations.
Congratulations so much.
Thank you very much. Would you like to say any words?
My little deal came off there. So, but if I don't recognize a few people, my life is going to be tougher. But I'm blessed that I have my 100-year-old mother here with a lot of my family sitting here, and my wife, Naomi, and I've been together 21 years. I think we were married about 10 years, and the bookie called and told us she had won over and under. So, but probably not the easiest guy to be married to, but she's allowed me to do what I love to do, to get up every morning and hit the road, and always have a suitcase in my trunk, and sometimes I call her and I'm stuck in Houston or I'm wherever, and she's done a wonderful job. I have a son that I couldn't be more proud of, and Gus has been a great student and athlete, and I'm glad he's here to share this with me. So Love you and thank you all.
I want to thank our sponsors once again, the Opportunity Machine, or the OM, and please give Zach a round of applause too for doing such a great job as moderator. One Acadiana has a lot of great events coming up. Check their website. Thanks again for Vidox for making this all so easy for us. I hope everyone has a great time. Please stay, mix and mingle, and we'll take some photos with the honorees too if you'd like, and Robin will be available to do that. And happy 2017, y'all. Thanks for coming.